Well, unusual calm before the Fed meet, you have to admit, because most people would have anticipated it with what the US markets did overnight, that there would be a sharp corrective move. We did start off lower, but towards the close, we ending about a 0.25% lower, which is actually a really good sign from an Indian market strength perspective. Clearly, there is strength. In today's session, you could argue that indices have closed weak, but there are no alarm bells. I think that's the best way to sum it. Now, what went within this? Tech, of course, underperformed in trade today by virtue of all that's happening in the regional banks, and you saw everything from a Tech Mahindra to a TCS, etc., correcting in the session. But it was the broader market again that sprang to action. So think of it news based, right? Go Air announces insolvency, Interglobe Aviation, SpiceJet, etc., had a good move. MRF announces good numbers on the during the day, and all tire stocks zoom up in trade. There were some corrective moves in the Adani Group stocks, some corrective moves in the PSU financial stocks, but those were few and far in between, not enough to damage the sentiment of the market by and large. So the key losers, aside of the index names that I spoke about, which is on the index side, you had, like I said, Tech and Adani Enterprises and a few others which were losing. Reliance was losing. Some financials did okay. But the broader end of the spectrum is where the action was. So at the broader end of the spectrum, you look at the key losers. There was another Wilmar, which was down about 4%. Central Bank, I spoke about PSU stocks. That was down significantly in trade. Manappuram Finance on that whole news about what's happening in Kerala and their offices. So that one was down double digits and arguably the top loser on the BSE 500 as well. And Westlife, Goldman Sachs came out with a note saying that they are constructive on that space, but Westlife is the least preferred name, I think. And therefore, that stock for 2 days on a trot has been very, very quiet, too subdued, if you will. But look at what happened at the broader end of the spectrum otherwise. I mean, there were gains in some other PSUs, I mean, the likes of RVNL, for example, up for the 4th or 5th day on a trot, if I'm not wrong, or every single month in the last few years had some very good gains. There was strength in some other PSUs. There was strength in tire names. MRF margins expanded 400 basis points. On 10% EBITDA margin, they clocked in a 400 basis points expansion, which is stupendous. And as a result of that, CEAT, MRF, maybe a JK Tire, all the tire companies did really well. Marriott International yesterday in the US gave very strong guidance, in addition to what Indian companies are anyways doing. And therefore, you had an Indian hotels, a Lemon Tree, maybe a Chalet doing very well. So it's very bottom up, it's very sticky. And I'm very happy that the markets are not going very buoyant into the Fed meet, because that would be bad if indeed the Fed does do something contrary to what the market expects, which is a 25 basis points hike and then commentary which might indicate a pause. Let's wait and see if that happens. That's the most important barometer for equity markets tomorrow.